Good afternoon, everyone. So today we're gonna look at in terms of the researching vocabulary. Okay, so my name's Chulung, and um, my friend's name's Anissa. So we're gonna explain in terms of researching vocabulary how to conduct with regard to the vocabulary research. So first of all, I'm gonna explain first part of presentation, and later Anissa will explain the last part of our presentation. All right, so I'm gonna start first. So first of all, I'd like to talk about the researching vocabulary. Um, what is currently what's happening in the researching vocabulary. All right, so here have a look at the first. Here we go. And current thinking and related research in terms of vocabulary. So here we go. We're gonna look at six that's very common research title that we, as a researcher, we can research in terms of these six um, types of vocabulary research. So the first one is about determining what a word is. And the second one is about conditions for vocabulary learning. That means that how learners learn vocabulary, such as, for example, incidental learning or deliberate learning. So that's the way we need to, as a researcher, we need to think about it, how to research, okay, when it comes to researching vocabulary. The next one is categories of words. That means how words, okay, and the way we categorize our words, like academic words, okay, for let's say the technical, okay, we have lots of word that we use in a specific situation. So that means we have to think about it. We have to take into account about the different kinds of words. Okay, so when it comes to researching vocabulary, the next one is vocabulary side. So vocabulary side, it's all about how many words, okay, how many words are frequent, meaning common words, or less common words. All right, and the next one is receptive and productive knowledge. So that means sometime, okay, let's say we all know about receptive skill and productive skill. So receptive is all about related to the listening and reading skill. On the other hand, productive skill, it's all about speaking and writing. So it's also the same thing in our vocabulary research as well. We can use a receptive. Okay, I'm gonna explain later detail in the next slide. And the next one is the company words keep. So the company words keep is all about that research is all about how words appear in the language. Okay, so this is all about very current thinking and the related research in when it comes to researching vocabulary. So let's have a look. The first one is all about determining what a word is. So we have the word family. Okay, the word family. So the word family is all about a group of words. Okay, a group of words that forms derived from the core word. Okay, that's what you mentioned that. Okay, I mean when we convey the meaning of the words. All right, so we have usually inflex forms and derived forms. We have two. That means how we noticed, okay, the words like sed form, ing, right? The right form like on, like suffixes and prefixes. Okay, this is the way the learners recognize when they actually use the word. Okay, and words. This is the word family, the example. Okay, so and next important thing is in the research and vocabulary is condition of vocabulary learning. So we have to know how, okay, vocabulary are acquired. So here, how words are learned. Okay, I mean the way the learners learn the vocabulary? I mean, do they learn incidentally or deliberately? So in other words, incidentally, that means you just learn it unconsciously. Okay, I mean, you just pick up the language. You don't usually give lots of effort to learn the vocabulary. You just listen, I mean, just by listening to the music, and we just learn the words without actually, giving efforts to learn the vocabulary. That's incidental. Whereas the deliberate, that means you study. Okay, I mean, deliberately you learn it. Okay, you want to focus on specific vocabulary. That means this is the way you learn. I mean, you give your efforts, you give your time to learn about that deliberate learning. Okay, that's the between the incidental learning and deliberate learning. All right, so okay, so here deliberate learning. So there are three main things that we have to think about, right? Noticing, okay, and space retrieval and generative use. So what do I mean by noticing? Noticing is the need for the learners to focus on a new words as a specific language learning goal. Whereas space retrieval, that means you develop recalling. That means like effort you learn it, okay, but you don't use it. But later, when the situation comes, and you just recalling. I mean, you have learned before, and just okay, and you just remembering from your, like, it's kind of the rote learning. You recalling the vocabulary. That's you use it, the deliberate learning. And then the last one is generative use. The important use a newly learned word productively in writing and speaking. That means you try to use the word that you have learned it, okay, and then you try to use the new words, okay, in the certain situation, and you want to use that new word, the word that you want to enhance your vocabulary in using in writing or in speaking. That's the way the deliberate learning. And the next one is all about incidental learning. So we also have three things that we have to bear in mind. That about need is all about the motivational need to use a new word. That means, what do you need in? Okay, I mean, you just incidental. You need the motivation that, for example, you listen to the songs and you learn it some words by incidentally. Okay, and such attempt to find the word meaning or form. Okay, and evaluation, the comparison of the new words with known words. That means you compare that you just learned the new words and that you have learned before, and you just compare. That's incidental learning and deliberate learning. Okay, the next important thing as a researcher have to think about it in researching vocabulary is categories of words. That means usually we have four things. We divide into four things. That we have some words of very high frequency. So in other words, the words that are used very often. Okay, that's high frequency. The next one is technical. That means we just use in a certain situation in the workplace, like for engineering. Okay, that related to that the situation. And the next one is academic. So the academic it's obvious that it's related to the university, like doing assignment, that the words that we used not in informal situation but formal situation, that's the academic word. The last one is low frequency. So some of the words we don't normally use, but it's not the academic as anyway, but we just don't normally use the word, but there is exist, but we don't normally use it. Okay, that's the way we have to categorize into four things, basically. So here we have the technical vocabulary is a relatively under research area in light of its important role in specialized reading. Okay, that's technical vocabulary is less common. I mean, people usually don't research about technical words. So 2,000 more frequency occurring words in English are regarded as critical for communications in English. So that's we have to take into account how many words or what word. I mean, it's a high frequency word, or is it academic, or is it low frequency? We have to think about it as a researcher when we want to conduct the related to the words. Okay, and the next one is all about vocabulary side. So counting and grouping words. All right. So counting grouping words. All right. So this one is usually the number of words in English. Okay, how many words? Okay. The most useful words for different communicated tasks or vocabulary size of groups of users. That means, so in certain group of people, okay, they how many words they know. For example, younger learners, okay, or adult or young adult. Okay, so that means how much vocabulary. Okay, it's vocabulary set or group of users. So I mean, at the age of 5 or 6, they know how many words. Okay, that sort of we have to think about the vocabulary side. So here we have, according to the research, some of the research mentioned here, there are a total 117,000 words, the word family in English. So among them, for those who speak as a first language, they know 17,200 words. They know, okay, they know it, but they usually encounter the new word like 100 words in when they actually learn in academic sector, but they don't know every word. Okay, but whereas in 1,200 words, according to the researcher that he mentioned, in Indonesia as second language users, they know about 1,200 words compared to the first language learners. Okay, or that's some research about vocabulary side. Okay, I mean, we have 117,000 words, but we actually use it as a first language learner 17,200 words, but as a second language or foreign language learners, the 1,200 words. They usually use it. Okay, that is the way the vocabulary side we have to think about it. And the next one is all about receptive and productive knowledge, as I mentioned before. So receptive, so people usually know more words than they use. Okay, there's a receptive. That means they know sometimes, they don't know how to use it. Okay, sometimes because they'll learn it, they recognize the word, but they don't know. Right? Sometimes, okay, because of the word formation, probably. All right. So we have we have the word, we know the words, but we don't know how to use them. So it's receptive. It's all about word recognition in written and spoken text. So the ability to attach a meaning to a word in written form or to transcribe words presented in oral language. That's the receptive. Okay, receptive means you might know what's a word, but you might not know how to use it. That's receptive. But on the other hand, productive. So it's a word used in meaningful contents, either written or spoken. That means productive, if you can produce the word, that means you know the word, you know how to use it. So this is productive words. That's the receptive and productive knowledge. So as a researcher, we also have to think about it. When we conduct the vocabulary research, is a receptive and productive knowledge. We also have to think about it. And here we have, because of that receptive knowledge of a word, form, or type. So succeed indicate receptive knowledge of other members of the word family. That means if you know the succeed, you probably might know succeed, success, successes. Okay, as receptive. So you recognize the word, you know the succeed, but so then you probably might know the other words as well. So productive knowledge, well, but on the other hand, concern retrieval from memory of a single word type. So that means that so it cannot be assumed that productive knowledge of one word form indicates productive knowledge of other word forms in the word family. So that means you might know how to use succeed, okay, as productive knowledge, but you might not know how to use success or successes. Okay, that's receptive and the difference between the receptive and productive knowledge. So because people do not productively use all the words they know. Okay, that's the very obvious very distinctive between the receptive and productive. So measures of receptive knowledge should That's why measure of this receptive knowledge should count and report in word family, whereas productive knowledge measure should count and report in the word type. So that is to say that receptive knowledge, if a receptive knowledge, then they might know lots of words than they actually used, right? But for productive knowledge, that means they know, if they know it, they can use it, that word, but they might not know the other like adjective forms or noun forms or verb form. So they can use maybe adjective form, but they might not know how to use in the as a noun form. So that's between the receptive and productive knowledge. All right, the last one is about the company words key. The last but not least, so the final issue to be discussed here, regarding the vocabulary research is how words appear in the language. Okay, so how that means that how a word is commonly used in a particular kind of text, or like such as newspaper, all right, and or in the particular subject area, nursing. Okay, so that means that the word the company. So a researcher could examine how a word is commonly used in a particular kind of text. So that's when we have to think about it. The differences between spoken and written use of the word can be examined as a researcher. So it means spoken and written use of word can be, you know, there are a lot of differences between the spoken and written languages. So that's the way we have to think about it when it comes to conducting the research and vocabulary. All right. So next slide. So our friends Anissa will explain to the next part of the presentation. So over to you, Anissa. Thank you.